All right, it's Weather for Weather Geeks time, Thursday evening edition. Let's recap what has gone on today on this wintry Thursday and talk a little bit about what's going to happen tonight and through the weekend and next week. First, before we get to our storm, we're now halfway through November officially, and we hit 34 for a high today. Our coldest first half of November in 6 years. It's been since 2012 since we've had a first half of November that has been like this. Month, of course, started out fairly mild with 5 of the first 6 days warmer than average, but it's been a big change since the middle of last week. So just a little word on the climatology so far this November. I'm expecting the cold temperatures to stick around for another 6 days, maybe even 7. And I'll talk about the longer range at the end of the video. All right, recapping our storm today, a couple of things with the forecast today. If you were watching the progression of my thoughts online and on air last evening, I started emphasizing the snow aspect a little bit more than the sleet and freezing rain aspect for our area today. As it turns out, that was not the right idea. This was going to be a tough forecast the whole way, and our high-res short-term modeling was all showing that the air column would cool enough that this morning we would replace sleet and freezing rain with probably a period of wet snow, which would actually be preferable to the sleet and freezing rain. Well, a half a degree, a degree and a half was going to make all the difference today. We just didn't cool down up above our heads. We didn't cool down that extra half a degree or a degree, so everything stayed liquid. And so we had quite a problem with the freezing rain and a little bit of sleet earlier on today. And roads are still, of course, slick out there this evening. This is a big problem for millions of people. Rush hour at an absolute standstill in places like Philadelphia and New York City, central Pennsylvania around Bellefonte State College, Altoona. They've just gotten pummeled today with heavy, heavy snow. Our problem has been less so with the snow and more so with the ice today. At the Youngstown Warren Airport, we picked up between a tenth and 2/10 of an inch worth of ice. We've had some problems with power outages across the region. It hasn't been a huge problem, but there's been some isolated power issues with tree limbs and power lines getting weighed down as a result of some of the ice out there today. All right, when I recorded Weather Geeks, it was 7:05, 7:06, and here's what the radar looked like at that point. Most of this is light snow at this point, but we do have some pockets where some sleet pellets are still trying to mix in. I'm going to show you here kind of a specialty radar product, and I don't know why the whole loop isn't loading, so let me stop the loop. This is, if you're a real radar nerd, if you're versed in radar terminology and meteorology in general, you know this is the correlation coefficient product. We use this sometimes in the warm weather season to pick out possible debris signatures if there may have been a tornado. Well, in the winter weather season, we use this a lot to differentiate between rain, mixed precipitation, and snow, where you see the uniform look to things, where things are smooth, kind of that maroon and into that reddish hue where it's real smooth. That's the same type of precipitation, in this case snow. When you start to see on this radar product some yellow showing up, some noisy data, that's where the radar is hitting objects of different size. And in this situation, that probably means a mix of sleet pellets and snowflakes. When the radar beam is hitting things of uniform size, it returns that nice smooth color. But when you see kind of blotchiness and noise in this product, that means the radar beam is hitting objects of different sizes. So we may still have some sleet pellets trying to mix in this evening, but for the most part, we're done with freezing rain. It's going to be snowflakes, wet snowflakes, for the rest of the evening and heading into the overnight tonight. Now, this is not going to be a big snowstorm, but road conditions are still a little bit tough, especially on off and on ramps, on bridges, overpasses, side roads, alleyways, things like that. Now, the major roads are doing okay. Our snow is not coming down crazy heavy in most spots, and they've been treated pretty well in most spots. Of course, there's always exceptions. Here's a look at the road sensor temperatures via ODOT as of 7:07 this evening, right around the freezing mark. When road temperatures are right around the freezing mark and they've been treated, they're generally going to be pretty wet unless the snow is coming down like crazy. But of course, road temperature is a little below freezing if they're a side road that hasn't been treated or hasn't been traveled very often. Yeah, that's going to keep things pretty slick. All right, so it's going to be a snowy evening. I think the snow will taper off from west to east as we head past midnight tonight, ending in most spots on average between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Now, the big question a lot of people have for tomorrow morning, hey, what about school adjustments? Not my call, of course. I was a little bit surprised that there were school adjustments this morning, but also the freezing rain started a little bit sooner than I thought it would this morning. my overall idea for tomorrow morning is the snow is going to end way before the buses start running tomorrow morning, generally between 1 and 3 a.m. Now, could there still be some residual slick roadways across the area? Yeah, sure. But there won't be anything falling from the sky during the critical decision times tomorrow morning for school districts across the area. Friday as a whole, it's going to be a cloudy day. Snowfall accumulations, I forgot to show you the snowfall map. Let me actually grab that real quick because I do want to talk about that in a little more detail. Let's see here. Where is my snow map? I'm going to have to grab it from down here. Bear with me for just a second. Let's talk about, before we get to the weekend and Friday, the snowfall forecast for tonight. Again, snow through about 1 to 3 a.m. Here's what our forecast is. It's for 1 to 3 just about everywhere. Some places are going to be closer to the 3. I think in kind of this zone through here, more places are probably closer to 3 than the 1. The rest of us probably, 1 to 2, outside chance of 3. But I think you're closer to 3 in places like Vienna and Sharon and Greenville and Mercer. And then once you get over into the dark blue around I-79, I doubt anyone gets 6 over here, but I could see where some places might get 3.5, 4 or so in eastern parts of Mercer County. But again, for most of our television viewing area, this is a 1 to 3 inch snow for tonight. All right, so for tomorrow, cloudy start, cloudy all day. Just another cold November day. A little disturbance, a little front heading our way, may produce some flurries, maybe a touch of drizzle, midday, early afternoon. And then we're just going to be in the clouds for just about the entire weekend. Another weak front on Saturday might produce a rain or a snow shower towards the evening hours. And then on Sunday, some modeling is showing a little bit of snow, some flurries skirting through. Latest run of our in-house model here is not showing that, but I do have a low-end chance of just a touch of snow in the forecast for Sunday. It will not be very impactful. It's just going to be another pretty cloudy, pretty cold day. It's going to be pretty cloudy, pretty cold all the way through Wednesday. But there is some good news in this forecast. A couple of things. One, a lot of people are traveling right before Thanksgiving. This is one of the busiest travel days of the year on Wednesday, both at the airports and on highways. And the weather looks benign here locally and actually across a lot of the country. The other piece of good news is notice our trend here as we go into the holiday weekend. Now, we're not going to be wearing shorts over the holiday weekend, but we're going to finally break this string of cooler than average days, it looks like, as we go deeper into the weekend. Thanksgiving might be pretty close to average or a shade below average. I have 44 in the forecast right now. Average is about 47 on Thanksgiving. But beyond that, we might touch 50 a couple of times during the holiday weekend. So some good news there. Overall, the 8 to 14 day outlook is not bone-chilling cold, but I think beyond this 8 to 14 day period, we're likely to get back into a chillier pattern. I've been talking about that on Weather Geeks this week. Here's a look at the latest European ensemble modeling system for the longer range. I've skipped ahead 2 weeks here. So now we're talking about past the holiday weekend and into that week following Thanksgiving, 27th, 28th. And notice the blue colors, the cooler than average temperatures starting to march across the U.S. So I think we're going to transition back into a colder pattern as we finish out November and head into the month of December. December could be a pretty stormy month, especially early in the month, and it could be pretty cold compared to the average as well. If you remember, my winter forecast called for an average December overall, but we may have to update that as we officially arrive in the month of December. That's it for tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here Friday evening.